Hey everyone, this is Rob from ProWresBlog, www.ProWresBlog.blogspot.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the best matches of 2013 for August 2013. August 2013 is going to go down as one of the best, if not the best month in wrestling history. It was really just an incredible month for action all over the world, but mostly in Japan. During the month of August, the G1 Climax was held, and it was just 9 days of great match after great match. There were so many good matches, and if you haven't seen the G1 Climax, I really do recommend it. It may be the best tournament ever in history. I mean, at least that we know of. There was just quality every day. There were some days where, with the G1, there were 5 or 6 matches that made my best match list in one day. And that's pretty much unheard of. Once in a while, maybe a really big show, but aside from that, that's it. And you look at day 4 of the G1 Climax. I had around 7 different matches just from that day alone that made my best matches list. So there was just quality everywhere. It was a great tournament. I really urge everyone to check it out. For the most part, it's worth your while. There was some not great stuff, but the good stuff vastly outnumbered the bad. This was an important month, mostly for my list, because we actually got a match of the year out of the G1 Climax. On day 4 of the G1 Climax, we had Katsuyori Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii. This was just a crazy match. This was one of the best matches I've ever seen, and just watching it, my mouth just dropped, my jaw dropped. It was absolutely incredible. This was a real man's fight. These two just beat the crap out of each other. They stiffed each other with elbows and forearms and kicks and headbutts. It was really brutal, and it was basically the pro wrestling equivalent of Don Fry versus Yoshihiro Takayama from Pride a few years ago. If you haven't seen that fight, it's really a lot like this. From the gates, they were jumping each other, and it was just a non-stop strike fest, and it was so good. I really urge everyone to check that one out, because right now that's my match of the year. I've seen thousands of matches this year, and by far, I think that's the best one. Also from New Japan, we got some other good stuff. We got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tomohiro Ishii. This happened a couple days before on day 2 of the G1, if I remember correctly, and it was really a great match. Ishii, he's a small fire plug who hasn't really gotten his full push yet, and Tanahashi is just pretty much a wrestling legend, and this was a really great match. Tanahashi used his flying, and Ishii just wouldn't stay on, and the finish was really remarkable. Ishii basically dropped Tanahashi straight on his head. It was a totally brutal bump, but it was the end of the match, and it was a pretty good way to cap it off. I rated that one 4 stars, and I really do recommend that as well. Probably one other real standout match from the G1 was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi from day 4. I really liked this one, but I liked other matches better, and there were a lot of people who I think liked this one more than me. This was a good match. We got a lot of kicking and some flying, and these two overall brought a pretty good show. The crowd was really into it, and it was a nice mix of stuff. Kota Ibushi does have some problems, like always when he wrestles. He tends to just forget selling, because hey, who wants to sell when we could do a 440, a 450 flip off something? But other than that, it was still really good. Of course, we also can't forget about Summerslam this month. SummerSlam was a really good show overall. It brought a ton of good matches, and Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk was really an epic pro wrestling match. It was just great. You had two dudes who were very, very vicious with each other, and just very rough. They were nailing each other with bombs, absolute bombs, and the crowd was into it. Paul Heyman was out there, and like everything, he really helped things along, and he added to it. It was a great match. I love that one. They brought the violence, and that was another real man's fight. It was brutal, and I really do recommend it. Actually, that one is already on my match of the year list, my top 5. So that shows you how good it was. We also had Daniel Bryan versus John Cena from the same show. It was a fun match. Obviously, a lot of people didn't like what happened after with Orton and Triple H, but as for the match itself, it was pretty good. John Cena did some technical wrestling, and him and Daniel Bryan, they brought out the big stuff. They were stiff. The crowd loved it. And, it was just a very good performance, and it was a great match. I give that one 4 stars. There's one more big match I'd like to talk about before we go into something else. I'd like to talk about Austin Aries versus AJ Styles from TNA Impact Wrestling on August 1st, 2013. I rated this one 3 3/4 stars, and this was a really great match. These two just brought it. They took big bumps, they did flying, they stiffed each other. I mean, the crowd was into it. It was a really great effort, and Austin Aries and AJ Styles are two of the most underappreciated wrestlers in the business, especially AJ. I mean, these two are always quality, and you couldn't ask for much more in this match. They saved Impact, and it was a great match. I urge everyone to check that one out. Okay, the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about maybe a couple matches you might not have seen, or maybe just some you've forgotten. One I'd like to mention just aired actually in the last 2 days. It was Antonio Cesaro versus Dolph Ziggler from WWE Superstars on August 31st, 2013. It was a great match filled with nice big bumps, a hot crowd, and these two just absolutely brought it on a show where sometimes people don't really bring it. Another Antonio Cesaro match that I pretty much have to mention is his 2 out of 3 falls match with Sami Zayn. It happened on NXT for August 21st, 2013, and it was a really good match. The crowd was super hot, they stiffed each other, and the end sequence is one that you'll never forget. Cesaro caught Zayn coming off the top rope, and he caught him in like a DDT position, but he ended up lifting him up above his head, carrying him around the ring, and then throwing him up just basically with his hands, and then hitting an awesome uppercut to end it. That was a really cool match, and supposedly that was just the clip version. So the full version exists somewhere out there, and it was probably even better. This week we also had a really good Primetime Players versus Real Americans match. It was on WWE Main Event August 28th, 2013, and it was a great match. It just worked. It just worked really well. The Real Americans used some double teams. The Darren Young bumped like crazy. And everyone was just really good here. I would like to recommend that one too. One other standout match that I'd like to mention before we move on to something else is Randy Orton versus Rob Van Dam. This happened on the August 9th, 2013 edition of WWE Smackdown, and this was just a really good match. I was surprised by this. I thought it might be okay, but I didn't think it would be great, and it ended up being pretty great. I really liked it, and both guys really had their working boots on. They were creative, the crowd loved it, and it was just a really hot opener. Alright, to wrap this up, I want to tell you guys about my top 5 matches of the year. These are as of August 31st, 2013. My number 1 match of the year is from Day 4, the G1 Climax. It's Katsuyori Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii. The rating I gave that one was 5 stars, a perfect 5 stars. My second place for match of the year is El Titan versus El Polvora from CMLL in Mexico from January 1st, 2013. That's right, the first day of the year. I also rated this one 5 stars, and it was just a great match. They mixed up big moves, flying, the traditional pageantry of Lucha Libre, and it's really worth going out of your way to see. A lot of people who've seen it have actually agreed that it was pretty good. My third match of the year was The Big Show versus Alberto Del Rio from WWE Friday Night SmackDown, January 11th, 2013. This was Last Man Standing, and I rated this one 4.5 stars. This was just a great storytelling match. Alberto worked Big Show's arm early with chair shots and weapons, and then he did some different things later on. And the cool thing at the end was, since it was Last Man Standing, he buried Big Show under a table, which was a really neat spot that I've never seen done before. My number 4 match was Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk from SummerSlam 2013. That was also rated 4.5 stars. And finally, my 5th match of the year was Tomohiro Ishii versus Hiroshi Tanahashi from Day 2 of the G1 Climax. That one was rated 4 stars. Alright, thank you for listening, everybody. Stay tuned for more at www.ProWresBlog.blogspot.com. Thank you.